Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being with us again today. Well, today we're going to be having a quick look at the Smith & Wesson 686 Plus and 357 Magnum. This is a revolver that's been around for a long time, and it has proven itself to be a durable, reliable, continuous use firearm. So the question for us, of course, is its reputation alone going to be enough to make it a good concealed carry firearm? Well, we're going to find out in just a minute. All right, once again, welcome back. Thanks for being with us. If this is your first time coming to the channel, or if you've watched our videos before and you just haven't had a chance to do so before now, and you like our content, please consider subscribing. You can locate that subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner of your computer screen there, or if you're on a mobile device, you can scroll down below the video and hit the subscribe button that way. It's a simple thing that helps out a whole lot, and we really appreciate it. So, the Smith & Wesson 686 Plus. Now, I've looked at a lot of revolvers and different styles and sizes and things of that nature. And every time I get a Smith & Wesson revolver in my hand, I always enjoy it. I love to shoot them. There's some I like more than others, and I tend to carry usually smaller revolvers for concealed carry. But there's something about these nice, solid, this is an L frame. You know, they make various sizes, J frames, etc. And for something in this size, it's just a very comfortable feeling. It's a very comfortable shooting firearm, which we'll get to all that in just a moment. But we always like to do a little size comparison here, and just for those of you who may carry smaller revolvers. So one of my favorite 357 revolvers that I carry is my little Kimber. I've got a little K6S here. Now, obviously, there's a huge difference in size between these two. Now, this is a 6-shot 357, and of course this is a 7-shot. So you do have a larger cylinder, but if you'll notice, everything around it is larger too. And the only reason I'm even making this comparison is because people who carry revolvers, they're generally carrying about the same size revolver. So if you're used to carrying something that's smaller, like a Kimber here, or a little small J frame, anything like that, you're going to be making a jump to accommodate something like this in the holster. Now, I'm not saying that there's not reasons behind it. I'm not even saying not to do it. What I'm saying is that it's definitely something that you're going to want to think about if you look at something like this, because the size is going to make a difference in what kind of holster you have, what kind of weight you're going to have on the side when you're carrying the firearm. And of course, that's one of the biggest considerations that we always have starting off, is comfort. Well, we're going to jump right into the features here, but before we do, take a moment to thank our friends over at Don's Weaponry for providing us this beautiful example of the Smith & Wesson 686 Plus and 357 Magnum for our tabletop review today. Don's Weaponry is a huge supporter of firearms safety and education, and we can't thank them enough. So, as we look it over, we're going to do the same thing we typically do kind of a top-down. Not as many things to talk about on a revolver as on a semi-auto typically. But still, we're looking at our sights here. Now, if you take a look at this, you've got, they call this a red ramp. You've got a little red mark here built into the ramp, and then you've got your notch. This is actually not a bad setup for a revolver. That little red notch shows up, that red sight shows up really good inside this notch. And makes for a pretty good sight picture, so I don't have any issue with this. I just hate it whenever it's just strictly black metal, because sometimes that can be hard to see under certain conditions, but this is pretty good. Of course, as we said, this is a 357 Magnum. We'll just do a quick verify here, let you see that we, of course, are unloaded. 7-shot. You can see the capacity there. You are looking at a stainless steel frame, and you are looking at a stainless steel barrel, and of course it's finished very nicely. You take a look at it. I think Smith & Wesson does a pretty good job overall on their handguns. This is a double action, single action, of course, so you can either do a full pull of the trigger, or you can cock the firearm and you can have your single action. One thing I really like about this is the double action trigger pull is really, really smooth. Like a lot of these double action trigger pulls on revolvers, you feel like you're really pulling through some weight. Now, it's still obviously it's quite a bit more effort because your double action trigger pulls are always, double or better of what your single action trigger pull is, and that's by design. But it doesn't feel bad. It feels very smooth. It's a very nice trigger pull. Of course, I showed you your cylinder release here. It's a simple push forward, and then you can tip the cylinder out. Very smooth, very nice. Your trigger guard, it's got a pretty decent sized trigger guard. One of my chief complaints on any firearm would be if it has a small trigger guard, because I've got long fingers and I hate having to kind of fold my finger up to get it inside the trigger guard once I'm ready to get on the trigger. This one is not bad. 686 has a pretty good sized trigger guard. And like I say, the trigger I actually like quite a bit. It's very smooth. For a double action trigger, I think this one's one of the better ones that I've had my hands on when it comes to a revolver. And of course, the grip here, it's a simple rubberized, Smith & Wesson calls this a synthetic grip. And it's just a nice large rubber grip. Now for a gun like this, obviously you can get all kinds of grips for this. If you want to get yourself a really nice Hogue grip of some made of specialized materials, if you want to get some of the Piranha grips or anything custom wood, you can do all kinds of stuff for these guns. But for me, I think for these type of guns, a rubber grip actually makes a lot of sense. If your hand is sweaty or if your hand is dirty, a rubber grip is still going to work really well for you. And it's comfortable. And you got to remember, this is 357 Magnum, and it's got some kick to it. So if you're shooting this firearm repeatedly, I think you'll find that the rubber grip actually does a pretty good job of helping to deal with some of that energy that you're going to feel in the handgun. But overall, it's a very nice, very simple, it's what I like to call a basic firearm. It has exactly what you need. It doesn't have anything that you don't. So obviously there's going to be some considerations if you plan on shooting this a lot. Now, one thing that anyone who's ever shot a 686 will tell you, police officers have used these, hunters have used them. A lot of people have carried these firearms, and they're very durable, as I said, but they're also more comfortable for continuous use, for continuous shooting. Because I can tell you firsthand, if you spend the day shooting that little Kimber right there, as much as I love this little gun, your hand is definitely going to be complaining sometime through that range session, because you just end up getting a lot of that energy back into your hand. And I love the gun, and like I say, it's a great self-defense weapon, great size, everything about it, I love it. But you're definitely going to know if you've shot a few rounds through that firearm. Well, the larger frame of this firearm, it has a slightly longer barrel than the Kimber does too, which isn't going to make a big difference. They're both tiny, but this larger frame and larger grip and the type of grip, I feel like that I don't have near as much energy coming back into me whenever I'm shooting this, so it's extremely comfortable. Now, I just don't just go on and on about ammo problems and things when it comes to revolvers, because I don't have a lot of issues anyway. But Federal white box and gold dot for your defensive rounds, you can pretty much put whatever you want to into a Smith 357, and I've had no issues whatsoever. Obviously, being a 357 Magnum, if you wanted to run 38 Special in it, of course you can do that, and some people will do that because they want a little bit of not so powerful load in their firearm, and they want the option of being able to have either one. So that's one great thing about 357. It does have the versatility, but no matter which one you shoot, it's a very good shooting gun. As I said, it's got a very good trigger pull. The double action trigger pull, I think, is really, really nice. And when you get to that point at the top of where it breaks, it is very interesting, because there's a lot of revolvers that I've shot that when you get right to the top, you don't have it's like it loads and loads and loads, and finally it just breaks. Well, on this one, you pull the trigger, and it kind of gets a lot of that energy, that loading, out of the way. And you've got a little bit of space here at the end to sort of stage the trigger. And I like that, because if you're taking a precision shot, and let's say you've got that trigger pulled to a certain point, you know that you're right there. You got a little bit of room to work with before you pull the trigger, which is nice. It's not exactly the same as having it in single action, because obviously there's just a tiny amount of travel when you go to single action. But it still gives you that flexibility to set up that precision shot by having that trigger staged, and I think that's great. So it's a very good shooting firearm. No surprise there. Smith & Wesson makes very, very good revolvers, and they have for a long time, and this one is no exception. So when we talk about carry, I mention in every video, every gun we talk about, the comfort when it comes to carrying this firearm on you. As much as I love this firearm and firearms of similar size category, this is usually a little bit larger revolver than I'm going to carry. And really it just has to do with the overall size of it. There's lots of holsters you can get to distribute the weight of this evenly. Typically when I carry something like this, I'm going to have a crossbreed where I've got that leather on the side, and you've got the kydex that actually retains the firearm, and you have 2 clips to distribute the weight on either side of the gun on your belt line. And I have those, and they're okay, but this is a heavy gun. And for me, the further I go in my carry journey, the more I'm leaning towards smaller firearms, a little bit easier to carry. So even though this is one less shot, and it's not going to be quite as comfortable to fire as far as in your hand, I can much more easily carry this size frame than I can this, no matter what kind of holster I have. And so for me, this isn't the ideal carry gun. Now I tell you what this is ideal for. This is actually one of my favorite home defense guns. And I actually have a gun almost exactly like this one upstairs in the bedroom in a little small safe that is there for that very purpose. I love the feel of these revolvers. I love how they shoot, and I know they're reliable, and I trust my life to it 100%. A little bit more than what I'll carry as far as a concealed carry firearm. It's a little bit more, but I know a lot of people who do, and they can do it perfectly well. It also depends on how you're built. Some people can carry crazy size firearms, you never know they have them on, and some people, they can carry a tiny firearm and have trouble hiding it. As long as it's a medium-sized firearm, I can hide it pretty well. And I could actually hide this firearm. It's just a little more than what I would like to try to carry. So for some people with the right holster, it's a good choice. For me, it's a little big, so it's a little more than I'm going to carry on a daily basis. Well, it's hard to go wrong with a Smith & Wesson revolver, no matter which one you get. They've had different ones come and go over the years, but there's been a lot of consistency in some of these firearms. Now, this particular firearm, I think it was 81, these were available. And so it's been around long enough for a lot of people, law enforcement agencies, enthusiasts, to spend time with it and determine that it's extremely rugged and reliable and durable. And at the end of the day, that's what you want out of a handgun. You want it to work. You want to be able to trust this to protect you when you need it to. So I think this is a great choice for anyone who's looking to add a 357 to their lineup, whether you carry it or whether it's for self-defense. And there are some different options. I actually know quite a few females who carry larger revolvers like this because they carry larger purses, and they have little zip out portions of their purse. I even know people who have carry purses that have little specialized retention pouches inside, and they carry larger revolvers like this. So I think it's great. I think that Smith & Wesson, their customer service is really good. Anytime I've had a problem, which has been extremely rare, I think I've had one gun I actually had to send in. It was over something that I think was more my fault, and they took care of it, no questions asked. So I think they make great firearms. I think their reputation is well deserved, And if you're looking for something to add to your arsenal that you know you can count on, I think the 686 is a good choice. Whether it's good for carry, that's going to be a personal choice because the size does make a difference. You'll have to decide that for yourself. But it's a great firearm, and there's nothing negative that can be said about it. All right. Well, we appreciate you as always. That's going to do it for today. We'll be back real soon with another video for you. So until that time, as always, everyone stay safe and have a great day. Thank you.